At a family dinner, my wealthy grandfather hugged me and said, "Grandson, hope you're loving your $7,000 per month allowance." They called it family, but for years, it felt like a silent robbery. Can you imagine being told you've been getting a generous monthly allowance since 2019, $7,000, every single month, and you've never seen a single, solitary cent? My family was ready to dismiss it, but the call I got at 9:14 p.m.? That's when the real betrayal, the gut punch, became undeniable. My name's Owen. I'm 30, the oldest kid, and for most of my adult life I've been running on fumes. I work 3 jobs just to keep my head above water. Mornings, I'm wrestling boxes at a warehouse. Afternoons, I'm fixing busted chairs and finicky thermostats for a property manager. And nights? Nights, I'm out there delivering food because let's be real, rent these days is just allergic to single incomes. I live in this tiny studio apartment, right above a nail salon, with a bus stop outside that seems to sigh all night long. My car trunk? It's basically a mobile toolbox. And on my phone I've got this spreadsheet I call breathing. It has 4 tabs: rent, food, gas, and surprise. Guess which one wins every single month? Yeah, surprise. Then there's my sister Sabrina. She's 27 and she's always been the favored child. You know, the way certain plants just naturally get the best window light. She's building her brand, Mom says. And apparently that brand is all about pastel blazers and unboxing videos. She speaks entirely in affirmations. If she misses a bill, oh, that's just the universe's timing. But if I'm late, suddenly I'm too rigid to ask for help. The irony, right? My granddad? Arthur King. Yeah, I know, like the joke. And let me tell you, he's got money. Started with one little hardware store, ended up with this whole empire of rentals and storage units. The man wears old, worn-out boots, but he's got a watch on his wrist that could buy you a new car. Holidays at his place? Always a lesson in contradictions. Paper plates next to crystal glasses. Just last Friday we had one of those big family dinners at his house. Long table, a perfect roast chicken, green beans drowning in butter. All the cousins were there, their kids too. Me? I came straight from the warehouse. I swear, no matter how much I scrubbed, I could still feel the grease under my nails. Granddad gave me a big hug right at the door, and then, loud enough for everyone to hear, he boomed, "Grandson, hope you're enjoying your $7,000 a month allowance." My brain just tripped. My what? Your allowance? He repeated, like we were just casually discussing the weather. Started it back in 2019 for you and Sabrina. $7,000 each monthly to give you a runway. I just stood there, clutching a casserole dish I couldn't even afford to make, my hands suddenly useless. I laughed, a raw, humorless sound because my face didn't know what else to do. "I'm working 3 jobs, I managed to say. I've never seen a single cent." The sound of a dropped fork echoed through the sudden silence, ringing in my ears. Mom whipped around from the stove, frowning at me, like I was the one who just ruined her perfect script. "Don't start," she hissed. "Your grandfather is trying to have a nice evening." Sabrina, ever the picture of sweetness, made a soft cooing noise and gently touched Granddad's sleeve. "He knows how Owen is," she said, her voice soft like a nurse comforting a child. "He doesn't like taking help." I snapped back. I love taking help. Too fast. I just never met it. Granddad's eyebrows slowly furrowed, meeting in the middle. "What do you mean you never met it?" he asked, his voice low. I pulled out my phone. My banking app history? It's a graveyard of tiny, pitiful amounts. But I had something else. Last month, after digging through 3 old email accounts, I finally got access to the foundation's emails, his foundation. I opened it, scrolled straight to the disbursements. Then I handed him the phone. There it was. Every single line item. Monthly support recipient, O. King. And right underneath, routing updated per coordinator. And then the masked account number. For digits I knew by heart. For digits I'd zelled 50 times over the years. Sabrina's. I watched Granddad's face as he read. He's not a fast reader. He's thorough. He looked up at me, his eyes wide. "Is this a joke?" "No," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "I've been paying for my tires with store-brand cereal. If this is a joke, it's very, very immersive." He put the phone down, slowly, like it was suddenly burning his hands. The entire table went silent, the kind of quiet you get when a teacher walks into a rowdy classroom. Mom actually reached for the phone, but I didn't let her have it. Sabrina, ever composed, smoothed her hair. "I thought we weren't doing money talk tonight," she said a little too lightly. "And I thought we weren't doing rerouting," I shot back. My own voice surprised me. It was so calm. Granddad stood up. Who changed the routing? He demanded. Arthur, sit down. Mom started. We're not, Sabrina, Granddad cut her off. Not loud, but the word landed like a physical weight. She held up her palms, a gesture of peace. Okay, everyone, can we just take a breath? This was clearly a misunderstanding. The coordinator said it was just easier if the household had one landing place. What household? I asked, my voice rising a little. Family, she said, as if that one word was all the proof she needed. A receipt even. Granddad looked at me, really looked at me. When did you find this out? 30 seconds ago, I said, then corrected myself because honesty is just this stubborn habit I can't break. I suspected a month ago. I asked for the statements. They came today. The room was thick with that frozen, braced feeling, like the air right before a storm slams into you. My little cousin, Chloe, piped up, what's allowance? Her dad shushed her immediately. Someone even muted the TV as if pictures of a baseball game could somehow make all this disappear. Dinner tried to restart. It didn't. I managed to eat 2 green beans, my body still stubbornly trying to pretend to be polite. But every single bite tasted like paper. Then, at exactly 9:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a number with my bank's area code. I almost let it go to voicemail. I mean, I didn't need any more noise, you know? But something made me pick up. Mr. King, a voice asked. This is Lydia from Franklin Trust. We're calling to verify a beneficiary change and an outbound wire request on your family account. It's marked urgent. Do you authorize? Stop, I said, staring across the table at Sabrina. She was still there, meticulously pretending to cut a dessert that definitely didn't need cutting. Tell me the name on the request, I demanded. She did. And it wasn't mine. That's when I knew. Whatever was about to happen next. It wasn't going to be quiet anymore. Not for anyone. This whole mess, this wasn't about some fancy foundation or a number with a lot of zeros, not really. It started so much earlier with a simple, poisonous phrase. For now. I mean, when I was 12, Sabrina stole change right off my desk to buy some lip gloss. Mom's response? She's learning, Owen. When I tried to get it back, I got a lecture about sharing. At 16, I worked my butt off weekends at Granddad's storage lot to buy a beat-up Honda. I changed my own oil, kept every single receipt in a shoebox because I guess I just liked the feeling of proof. Sabrina? She got Mom's old SUV for her 17th birthday because girls need safety. 2 months later, she hit a pole. Mom? It happens. I scratched my bumper? You're reckless, Owen. College wasn't really in the cards for me. I did 1 semester at community college, then real life came knocking. I drove forklifts, learned the weight of a pallet by how my back screamed. Sabrina, meanwhile, tried 3 different majors, took a year off to discover herself, and then landed on content. Which, let's be honest, is a job and not a job depending on if you're related to her. Money in our house was always like a strange weather pattern. When Sabrina needed something, the clouds would just part, sunshine and cash. When I needed something, I was told to carry an umbrella. I can still remember the night back in 2019. Granddad took us out to dinner, full of pride, telling us he was starting these allowances. A runway, he called it. So you don't break your backs on the first rungs like I did. He was so proud. Mom was beaming, listening intently. Sabrina? She actually cried, then immediately posted a photo with the caption, #gratitude. Meh. I went home and added a new line to my breathing spreadsheet. I called it, If This Is Real. I didn't even put a number in. It felt too much like hoping out loud. The first month? Nothing. I told myself, delay, just a delay. Second month? Still nothing. Third? Crickets. I finally texted Mom, hey, did Granddad? Her response? Don't bother him, he's busy. Oh, and Sabrina's swamped. Can you help her move boxes? Of course. I moved the boxes. The foundation would send out these quarterly impact reports. I never got them. What? Because the coordinator had an old college email for me, one I hadn't used since the password bit the dust. Sabrina, though. She'd always say, oh, I'll forward the important stuff. Guess what? Nothing important ever made it to me. Meanwhile, my life was just pure math. I'm talking groceries bought after 9 p.m. because that's when they mark down the meat. Oil changes done in my friend's driveway. New shoes only when the sole literally said hello to the pavement. I took a second job because that surprise tab on my spreadsheet just kept winning. Then a third because gas started acting like a monthly subscription service. I wasn't ashamed of it. I was just tired. Bone deep tired. Sabrina, though. She'd call me hustle culture, like it was a slur. She'd wave a dismissive hand and say, "Owen, you could totally scale if you just stopped thinking so small." Then in the same breath, she'd ask me to front the security deposit for her new place because the Airbnb collab fell through. And Mom? Mom would always chime in, "Owen, be generous. Your sister is building something that helps all of us." And I did help. I bought Aunt Diane's prescription when her card failed. I Venmo'd Mom for bridge groceries. I Zelled Sabrina, just until Friday, like Friday was some magical person we were all going to meet one day. I told myself, this is community. Then I go back to the warehouse stacking boxes that absolutely, positively, did not care about my personal narrative. Then in April the first real clue dropped. A letter arrived at my address from Franklin Trust. Annual beneficiary certification. With my name on it. Please confirm your contact information for your monthly distribution. My monthly distribution? I called the number. A polite person told me, "We show you as active since January 2019. I actually laughed. "Cool," I said. "Where is it?" Her answer hit me like a lead weight. "It appears the routing was updated by your family coordinator, Mrs. King, that's Mom by the way, to a household account." My stomach just dropped. So fast I had to sit down. I thanked the stranger, hung up and called Mom. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "We need to talk about something logistical." "I'm at Pilates," she chirped back as if that was supposed to be some kind of answer. "You rerouted my allowance," I told her. She sighed, a dramatic, suffering sound. "Such an ugly word, Owen. You didn't need it. You said you were fine. I put it where it could do the most good." "The most good for who?" I shot back. "For the family. Sabrina was launching, you know. You're stable. And your grandfather said it was for you and your sister." "That," I said, my voice shaking, "that matters. It matters that I never agreed. It matters that you never told me. You and your little contracts," she sniffed. "You've always been so rigid." I hung up. I couldn't trust myself not to say something I could never take back. I called the foundation again, tried to get my current email on file. "We need approval from your coordinator," they said. "Or the grantaire." The grantaire? That's Granddad. But I couldn't call him that night. He was still the man who taught me how to check the oil, who promised I wouldn't have to break my back like he did. I wasn't ready to tell him that the very people he trusted had built a goddamn toll booth with my name on it. So, I did what I always do when I need to be brave later. I collected proof. I requested statements. I pulled my credit report. I dug through every old inbox I could still log into. And I found threads. So many threads. Emails cheerily confirming changes I never saw. Routing updated. Glad it's streamlined now. Household wins. Always CC to Mom and Sabrina. Never to me. My name was just there in the subject lines like a sticker on a box I wasn't allowed to open. All this time, Sabrina's life online? It looked like the allowance was working brilliantly. New laptop, new phone, a work trip, where all the photos were #pool day. A post about honoring the grind featuring a bag that cost more than a month of my rent. I stopped looking. Because I don't want to hate my sister. But I was starting to. And then the dinner happened. Granddad's big hug. And that one sentence delivered so casually that landed on me like an actual invoice. "Hope you're enjoying your $7,000 a month allowance." And here's the absolute kicker, the piece nobody knew about yet. My monthly allowance wasn't the only thing Granddad had set up for me. There was a maturity clause. On my 30th birthday, just last Tuesday, the principal amount of my portion became eligible for a one-time distribution. If I requested it in writing. I hadn't. Someone else had. So, when Lydia from the bank, this complete stranger, asked me, "Do you authorize a wire for $250,000 to Sabrina's Social LLC?" I just said, "No." A hard, cold no. Then I added, "Freeze everything tied to my SSN pending an in-house fraud review." I hung up and I looked across the table. My family had already started talking about pie. And that's when I thought, if I keep treating this betrayal, like bad weather, I will absolutely drown. Granddad, bless his heart, called a quick family meeting in his library. Like this was some sitcom, not a slow-motion car crash. Books, leather chairs, a fireplace that never actually gets used. Mom sat, arms crossed tight, already defensive. Sabrina? She just kept checking her phone, volume up, so every little buzz was a distraction. I stood. I just couldn't sit. Sitting would make me feel smaller than I already felt, smaller than the enormity of this whole situation. Granddad held the statements I'd printed, his finger tapping the page. This says, he stated, that every monthly distribution listed as O. King has gone to an account ending in 4187 since March 2019. Administrative simplification. Mom blurted out like she was testifying before a congressional committee. We used a household account. Everything was shared. I wasn't. I snapped back. You were, she insisted. You just didn't notice because you were so busy. Sabrina jumped in, rattling off excuses. Rent. Starting equipment. Flights to conferences. It wasn't like I bought shoes. Oh, she was wearing shoes. Shoes I'd seen online for the price of a motorcycle payment. Granddad turned to me then, his gaze piercing. Owen, why didn't you tell me sooner? I opened my mouth then closed it. 1,000 small reasons, all of them suddenly sounding so silly out loud. Because I thought it would make me look greedy. Because Mom always made my mouth feel like a courtroom, where I was constantly on the verge of being held in contempt. Because I didn't want to be the problem. Because I was too busy just trying to survive. I didn't know, I finally said, my voice barely a whisper. Not really. Not until I did. He just nodded once, slow and deliberate like a judge who already knew the verdict. He didn't hesitate. He pulled up Lydia's number on his phone and put it on speaker. We need to cancel any beneficiary change requests, he stated, his voice firm, and reverse any unauthorized wires. Effective now. Lydia, thankfully, was efficient. We've placed a temporary hold on the outbound, she confirmed. We'll need written confirmation from the grantor and the beneficiary. And we'll also need to verify coordinator permissions. Mom leaned forward, a desperate plea in her voice. Arthur, don't be so theatrical. This is family. This is money, Granddad shot back. And money makes most families worse. Sabrina's carefully constructed smile finally cracked. You're going to humiliate me over a misunderstanding? She whined. You've been undermining your brother in installments for 5 years, Granddad said, his voice still low, but every word landing with brutal precision. Mom tried one last desperate angle. Owen never asked for help. He's so stubborn. I looked at Granddad, then at my sister, then at my mother who had taught me, of all things, to keep receipts like they were prayers. I'm not asking, I said, my voice clear. I'm setting a boundary. Sabrina rolled her eyes. Oh my God. Therapy words. Grown-up words, I countered, my voice gaining strength. Here are the simple ones. No more using my name. No more touching my money. No more routing. No more household, unless I actually live in it. Granddad nodded slowly, deliberately, like a metronome ticking off the truth. Sabrina, he said, you will repay every monthly amount diverted from Owen's share. And you will send him a written accounting of what you spent. We'll decide if any of it counts as family expenses. Then he added, almost as an aside, spoiler, it doesn't. He turned to Mom. You are removed as coordinator. Effective immediately. Mom went absolutely white. You don't mean that. I do, he said, his eyes hard. You forgot what the money was for. And what was it for? She snapped back. For runway, he said, not for spectacle. Sabrina's voice got sharp, full of venom. This is revenge, not fairness. I shook my head, a sense of calm washing over me. This isn't about revenge, I said. This is about closure. The sentence sounded, to my own ears, like a lock clicking into place. My hand, for the first time in days, stopped shaking. Granddad looked at me, a genuine question in his eyes. Do you want the monthly still? He asked softly. Or the principal distribution? Or both? Paused until you decide. Pause, I said without hesitation. I want to think like a person who isn't drowning for once. The room practically rearranged itself around us. Mom stood up and left without slamming the door because she knows Granddad hates that. Sabrina sent 3 frantic texts to someone, probably the poor soul waiting for that wire that was never, ever coming. Granddad then put his hand on my shoulder the same way he does right before he tightens a stubborn bolt. We'll make it right, he said. Not pretty. Right. Pretty has been our problem, I responded, a wry smile finally touching my lips. He gave me a half smile back. There you are. The first 48 hours after that dinner? They were loud. My phone was like a relentless metronome, buzzing with calls and texts. Mom, you humiliated your sister in front of your grandfather. Sabrina, you could have come to me first. Mom again. He's old, he doesn't understand how money moves now. Sabrina, you're ruining my business. Then there was an unknown number confirming the wire cancellation to Sabrina's LLC, and Aunt Ruth saying, I always said your mother was too generous. And cousin Mark, good for you? Don't tell anyone I said that. I just muted everyone. Except Granddad, my boss, and the warehouse crew chat where we shared pictures of cursed pallets. I took this incredibly long shower, but it didn't wash away the numbers, didn't make the math disappear. I put on my good socks and went to work. The toilets in Building C were angry that day. Toilets, it turns out, really don't care about family legacies. And honestly, it was a relief. At lunch, I met with Priya, a lawyer a friend recommended. She spoke in bullet points. I gave her a stack of my bullet points. Statements, emails, the bank's call log, a screenshot of Sabrina's LLC, that absurd household account note with my name as if that made it legal. She flipped through the pages. This is simple and it's not, she said. Legally? Identity misuse, unauthorized transfer, breach of grantor intent. Practically? It's family. I don't want a court, I told her. I want a wall. We can build one, she said. A demand letter to repay diverted funds. A new trust administrator. Fraud alerts. A directive to the foundation. No coordinator except you and the grantor. And then pointedly, also passwords. Change them everywhere. I did everything Priya said. New email. New bank. A credit freeze so aggressive I swear it probably locked my high school yearbook. I finally took my name off Mom's streaming services. Turns out I'd been quietly paying for them since 2020. I canceled an old card that kept getting charged for household Amazon, because sometimes closure means freeing your wallet from a future you never signed up for. Granddad, meanwhile, hired a forensic accountant. You know, a person whose entire job description is basically the word receipt in a suit. He sent us this spreadsheet that would make a saint curse. Every single month since March 2019, $7,000 listed under O. King, routed to Sabrina's account. Notes like brand expenses, travel, office. The total? I had to sit down. I won't even say the number out loud. Because that number, it's a character in this story and I don't want to give it any more lines. Sabrina though. She sent me an email, a PDF titled, Apportionment. 4 pages of pure justification. We paid Mom's HOA when she was short. We invested in my business which benefits the family. Owen never asked. The last line was classic. Let's be adults and not make this ugly. I forwarded it straight to Priya. Her reply. We're adults. That's why it's in writing. Then she sent Sabrina and Mom a formal letter. Words like misappropriation, restitution, fiduciary duty, and my new favorite, cease. It wasn't rude. It was a wall. With a very clear door labeled pay. I braced myself for the storm and it came from the usual direction. Mom, you're taking food out of your sister's mouth. Me, she's been feeding from my plate for 5 years. Mom, you're ungrateful. Me, for what? Mom, for the family we gave you. Me, the family I gave you, read. No reply to that one. Sabrina tried a different tack. Let's talk without the lawyers. We met at a coffee shop selling drinks with entirely too many adjectives. She wore a white blazer and sunglasses indoors, looking like someone who genuinely hates bad lighting. She started with tears. I didn't steal, Owen, she sniffled. I allocated. You stole, I said, my voice eerily calm. You don't understand how building something works, she insisted. You should be proud. I put our name out there. Our name? I shot back. You mean my name? She wiped her eyes, instantly switching from tears to fury, like a singer changing keys. You love being a victim, she spat. You could have asked for rent money anytime. I didn't want rent money, I said, standing my ground. I wanted my money. You're so small, she scoffed. Maybe, I countered, but small pays its own bills. She stood up then, fire in her eyes. This is a battle, she declared. No, I said just as firmly. This is accounting. Granddad called that night. He sounded old. In a way I wasn't used to. I should have watched it closer, he said, his voice heavy with regret. I thought I was helping. Instead, I lit a match and walked away. You were helping, I told him gently. It just got repurposed. Your mother's out as coordinator, he said again, almost as if he was reminding himself. I'm putting a professional in place. If you want the monthly, it'll go straight to you. If you want the principal, we'll do it by the book. If you want neither, I won't be offended. I want a fence, I said. Then I want to think. Good, he responded. Because the only time money is truly evil, Owen, is when it's a secret. The following week was a bumpy road for sure. It only stopped bumping because we finally pulled over. Sabrina's $250,000 wire never went through, obviously. She posted some black and white Instagram story, "Some people don't like to see you win." Her followers, naturally, flooded her with affirmations. She even went live, crying about family betrayal. I didn't watch. A cousin sent me a screen recording with the caption, "LOL." I ignored that too. Mom tried one last grand gesture. A family summit, at her house, complete with a pot roast that tasted suspiciously like the 90s. I brought Priya. On Zoom. Mom didn't like that one bit, but she kept the meeting going because she does love to host. Priya, calm as ever, went over the numbers. "We're asking for repayment of all diverted monthly distributions to Owen's account. 30 days, she said. "We're not asking for punitive damages. We're not filing a police report. We're not going to court. If you comply." Sabrina let out a humorless laugh. "You can't squeeze blood from a stone," she scoffed. Priya didn't even blink. "Good thing we're squeezing it from money." Mom tried tears again. "You're his sister, Owen," she pleaded as if I didn't know. "I know," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "That's why I'm not pressing charges. That's why I'm asking for a plan. That's why this isn't a scene. It's a line." We left with nothing signed. But everything was different. Anyway, 2 days later, a transfer hit my new account. It was labeled partial restitution. And it was from Granddad, not Sabrina. He texted me, "She'll repay me. You're not my bill collector. You're my grandson." I just collapsed. I cried on my kitchen floor for a solid 10 minutes, face buried in a towel, like one of those movie characters who finally lets go of some unbearable tension. Work actually got easier after that. I mean, I still had 3 jobs on paper, but I wasn't carrying 2 more jobs in my head anymore. The weight had finally shifted. I even said no to an extra shift and my boss didn't fire me. I bought myself new boots because my old ones had my feet screaming. I took a breath, a deep, full breath, and for the first time in a long time, it didn't have numbers attached to it. Sure, there were still the late-night texts, the group chat hurricanes, the relatives who still thought gossip was a contact sport. But there was also this new locker in my brain. And it had a door. It said, "Mine." It's been about 5 weeks now. The professional administrator is in place. Emails come to me with my name on them and they actually mean me. The monthly allowance? It's not automatic. I asked Granddad to pause it, just while I figure out what kind of person I am when I'm not constantly hustling just to stand still. And the principal? It sits exactly where it's supposed to. Behind a proper process. Not under my sister's cursor. Sabrina and I still exchange necessary texts about Mom or holidays. Sometimes she fires a flare, "You made me look bad." I don't even look at it. Mom sends me pictures of sunsets and articles about forgiveness like they're coupons. I heart them. I don't click. I wrote 5 new lines and I taped them inside my kitchen cabinet, right where the coffee lives. These are my new rules. 1. I don't send money I can't afford never to see again. 2. I don't let household mean you can have my name. 3. I don't explain math to people who prefer magic. 4. I don't answer money questions by phone, email, or nothing. And 5. I don't apologize for locks on doors that should have had locks all along. I read them out loud to myself when I make eggs. Feels both silly and incredibly strong. Granddad came by just the other day. He had a bag of bolts and that familiar look on his face. We fixed 3 wobbly chairs. And we fixed the one wobbly thing between us. "I wanted you to have options," he told me. "Not obligations." "I wanted that too," I said. He put his hand on the table and tapped twice, the way he does when he's finished a job. "Good," he said. "If you want a moral, Owen, it's boring but it works. Don't pay for the story where you are both the villain and the sponsor. Don't call a pipeline a misunderstanding. Don't let a banner that says family cover a receipts drawer. Build a fence. Keep a door. Use both. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure." I'm still in that studio above the nail salon. The bus still sighs all night. I still carry my tool bag everywhere. But when my phone buzzes at 9:14 p.m. now, my heart doesn't sprint. If the bank calls, it's my finger on the button. If the family calls, it goes to voicemail if my cabinet rules say so. I'm not the allowance anymore. I'm not the sponsor. I'm the person who gets to decide what I fund. With my money. With my time. With my silence. And for the first time in a very long time, I'm finally truly free. So I'm curious, have you ever had to build a fence like this in your own life? What boundaries did you have to set? Or what would you have done in my place? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you think.